Hello, this is going to be some additional improvements that I think will be very helpful to the versatile quest system that we made in the last video. Should be pretty quick. At the end of that video, I mentioned like if you wanted him to say something different post quest. I mentioned a way of doing it, but then I thought of an even easier way of doing it, because right now if you go and talk to this NPC after the quest is complete, he just keeps completing the quest over and over again. So I figured let's fix that. And really we're just going to do the same exact thing that we've been doing. But I know that sometimes it takes more than one time of doing something for it to click. Like sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times, which is okay. So I figured this would be helpful. And let's go ahead and just do it really quickly. So I haven't touched this project since that video. So if you go to our NPC father, or whatever your NPC is that's giving the quest, and you go find the dialogues, which are on the dialogue component, you can see these dialogues that we made. Let's make one that says post quest dialogues. So what they're going to say after the quest is done, not when you're turning it in. So where did we make these dialogues? Where did we make them? They're on the dialogue component. So let's go to the dialogue component. And then if you go over to your variables panel, and then you open the config variables section, you can see the dialogues that we made. So let's duplicate completed dialogues and call it post quest dialogues. Now you might be thinking, well, what if I want this NPC to have more than one quest? What if I want it to move on to like the quest 2 dialogue instead? Well, sure, one way of doing that, you could just name this quest 2 dialogue, and then you'd have to make a quest 2 in process dialogue and a quest 2 completed dialogues, and you could do all of those things. And then just down here, you'd have to store the NPC quest 2, right? And the task index required for quest 2, because that's how you check those states of the quest. So you could do all that, and then you could just have all these different dialogues for all the different quests you want on the NPC. But I think it would be easier to just honestly spawn a new NPC. Just keep it simple. Don't have all these variables. Just destroy the NPC and spawn a new NPC with quest 2 in the same spot and with the same mesh, which could be very easy to do. So I'll just talk through that. How would you go about doing that? Spawning a new NPC in the same spot? Well, we came up with a way, right, of doing things on specific dialogue lines. So you would just go to the structure. We're doing that with structs, right? And then you would just add a new variable, right? A new setting that says should spawn new NPC, question mark. And then if that's checked, if that's true, then we will spawn a new NPC on that dialogue line. So how would you do that? You would just go to your widget blueprint, right? This is where we're creating the dialogue lines. And then check the settings. If it's true, if should spawn NPC is true, then we are going to do that. So how you would do that is store that NPC's transform in a variable. You would just make a new variable of type transform, and then store that NPC's location, destroy that NPC after you do that, and then spawn an actor from class node with the transform using that stored variable that you made. And then that new NPC, that it would be like NPC father 2 or NPC father quest 2, would have the quest 2 on him. So then you would just really do that exactly the same way we made quest 1. Just make quest 2 the exact same way. But anyways, back to what we're doing. Thought that might just be helpful to talk through. What were we doing? We just made post quest dialogue. So compile that and then go back to our NPC. Now we can see that new dialogue is here. I'm going to add a new dialogue and say, you really helped me out back there, traveler. And then he goes to jump to index 1. And I'm just in case we get that bug, I'm just going to force close it by making a new index and then checking end dialogue, and then making a new index that's just empty. Okay, so post, compile that. That's all done. So how are we going to trigger this post quest dialogue when we talk to him? well, thinking about the same exact way we've done that before in the past. So where did we did that in the widget blueprint dialog widget component, right? This is where we're deciding what dialog line to play. So this is the dialog line that we're breaking. Where are we getting the input for this? We're getting it from here. Get dialog index line, right? It says it right in the name. So we double click it. And if you recall, this is the logic for playing a different dialog line depending on quest states. So when a quest is complete, you're playing the completed dialog. The way that I thought of doing this that would be easier is just to add a bool variable that says that marks quest is complete or show post dialog now or something like that. So let me just show what I mean by that. So I'm going to the struct and I want to add a new variable. So this is going to be a new variable that appears on every dialog line. And it's going to call mark quest fully complete question mark. I know it's a little bit of a mouthful, but I'm trying to be very clear here. Mark quest fully complete question mark as a bool. Save that. And that's just because here in this, we're only checking when we're checking if this task stage is complete. We're just checking if a task is complete within the quest. I want a way of knowing that this quest is completely done and we can move on to the post quest dialog. So whenever we complete the quest, let's go back to our NPC. So on whatever dialog line we complete the quest, which is right here for me, I'm going to restart Unreal Engine really quickly. All right, we're back. I'm in the same spot. I'm on the completed dialogues, and we're going to find the dialog line that we want to mark the quest complete on, and then just check mark quest fully complete. And I would do that on the line that the conversation, and so the last speaking line. I would not put that like on the close dialogue line that we made to end the dialogue or anything else, because I think that would cause issues. So on the last speaking line, we mark that as complete. Now, where are we going to tell our code to play the post-quest dialogue on the next conversation, based on whether this is true or false? Well, we're going to do that where we tell it to do, where it picks the dialogue line based on quest states, right? Which is going to be in the widget blueprint dialogue widget, specifically in this function here, get dialogue index line. It's just what it sounds like, right? So really, we don't want it to play. We don't want it to affect the current conversation, right? We want this to go through. We want it to set the quest state to complete here, right? New stage quest. And then on the next conversation where we open it up is when we really want to check if we completed everything and then play the post-quest dialogue from there. So what I'm going to do is create a new variable on this WB dialog widget that will store the status of our quest, whether it's complete or not. So I'm going to plus on the widget blueprint and then say quest completed, I guess, as a boolean. And then when we reach that dialog line where we set the quest state to true, we're going to set this to also be true. So let's go do that really quick. So I'm going to go back into the get. Actually, let's stay in the event graph, because the reason I did that is because I don't want to set it here. I want to set it after we mark the quest as complete. I want to set it after we actually change the quest state to complete, which is what we're doing right here, right? So what would be a way of doing that? We could just use the sequence. So we know we're doing this stuff in sequence 2. We need to do it before we end the dialogue, I think. So I'm actually going to highlight all these things and then collapse it to a function. and call this end dialog function. And then I'm going to create a new pin in the sequence node. I'm going to control click on the 3 pin and drag it to the 4 pin. I want to do this before that. I don't know how on earth I'm going to do this in a clean manner. So whatever. I'm just going to drag out from 3 and create a branch node. And then let's pull out and get quest completed. Oh no, excuse me. I totally lost the plot there. This is where we're setting that. So if this is true, then we're going to set. So I'm going to alt drop that in for a set node. Then we set that to complete. And then we'll get, if this is completed, then in the get dialog index, we will play the post quest stuff. So where would we do that? I think we could just do that at the beginning, because if the quest is completed, then we don't need to run any of this other stuff, right? We could just play the post quest dialog. So let's get all of this logic so we don't have to rewrite it. So the logic for playing the completed dialog, I'm just going to copy and paste that, put that in the beginning, and replace the completed dialogues with the post quest dialogues. Connect that to the get node. And then we want to make a condition, right? So I'm going to press B and click, and the condition is going to be that quest completed. Drag that in, control drop that in. Is true, right? Quest completed is true. Then we play this post quest dialogues. If it's false, we just continue business as normal. We go through our other checks, right? And make sure that we're doing this first. So make sure we're going to this branch node first. All right, okay, here goes nothing. This is the first time really doing this, so going through the quest. Go collect the photograph. It marked the quest as complete because we made sure to do it in order, right? Now if I talk to him again, it should be marked. Wait, was that the post quest? No, this is not right. All right, so I think we should store this quest completed variable. Let's delete that from the widget blueprint. I think that should come from the, I'm just going to delete it here completely from the variables panel and put that on the dialog component. Right. Quest completed, and then compile, and then just get a reference to the dialog component on our widget blueprint event graph. Get that quest completed variable. Plug that. Oh no, we're setting it here, so let's set it. Set quest completed. True. We set this to true. If we mark it complete, we set it to true. And then back in the get dialog index line function, we could pull out from the dialog component and check it from there. Get quest completed. And then let me double check that I'm setting that to completed. I am on the NPC. See if that makes any difference. Grab the photograph. Complete the quest. Now it's working. So now he's playing the post quest dialog line. All right, so now that is a little bit more polished of a quest system. And like I said, if you want the same NPC to give a second quest, then you could just destroy that NPC via a dialog line, something on the structure, a setting that destroys it, and then spawn another NPC. Basically just go through this tutorial again with another NPC. Except this time all you have to do is set the quest and the dialogue lines. You don't have to actually do everything. So it should be very, very simple. One more thing, if you want to make like a location-based quest, just to show an example of doing different things, how easy it can be, you could just make a blueprint deriving from actor BP underscore location quest. Open it up, add a box collision to it, make it wider, maybe taller. Make sure, well, that's fine. In the event graph, or actually I'm going to scroll down to the events on component begin overlap, because its collision is set to overlap all by default. Here I'm going to get quest component and then pull out set task, set stage, what the? New stage task. Connect it up. Right click, we're just going to make these public variables, right? Quest. Right click, promote to variable on the number of tasks. That's going to be the index of the task you want to give them. And then the stage, promote to variable. And then I'm going to make all of these variables instance editable so that they can be, so that I can edit them in the editor when I put them in the scene. So I go back to the scene, drag that thing out here. And then if I run into this, if I click it, come on. Okay. If I click it, then go to the settings down here. I could set it to the missing photograph, start with task 0, and set it to in process. Then if I run into that, you could see in the top left corner there, the quest started. So you can set anything from any location. Yeah, and look how easy that was. That was a location-based quest. So that was just a couple of small improvements I thought was worth sharing, but that's it for this one. Bye.